name is Solan Jensen, and I'm an expedition leader on board the Sea Adventure here. We're in Antarctica right now. I lead a team of expedition guides on board this ship, and we facilitate people building their relationship with this incredible place, along with our colleagues that run the ship, the crew and hotel staff. And I'd say one of the things I love most about my job is the human element. You know, I grew up in Alaska, where I spent a lot of my youth outside and building a very personal relationship with the outdoors, with wildlife, with, as we call it, nature, and also through my family. And so for me, being with people is a big part of being outside, and the space that opens up for our relationships to grow in unexpected ways, but also what that does to us in between events of language, which a place like this begins to tap into. And I think that's a really important human experience right now, for sure, because it's completely unmediated. In a certain sense, all experience is mediated through language, but there are a few things, I think, that move into the interstices of language, like being in a place that's so wild as this.
Okay. What advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
I would give my 20-year-old self the advice that says, don't move the way fear makes you move. Try to distinguish between what your work is and what the work of the people around you who are close to you need to do. I found myself moving very instinctually and intuitively through my 20s, and it got me here, and I have absolutely no regrets. But I remember a lot of anxiety that was unnecessary, a lot of fear that was unnecessary, a lot of, I don't know what precisely the word is, but considering that as I've grown a little bit older, I've come to terms with how vast my imperfections are and how much I've been able to do despite that, if I could have just dispensed with the fear and shame and guilt around failure or around disappointing people or whatever it is, I would have been able to utilize that energy in a very different way, and who knows what would have happened, you know? So I guess I can give myself maybe that little piece.
Fantastic. Now, the way this boat works is quite incredible, between the Quark team, like your own personal team that you're leading, plus the interaction with the crew here. What do you think are the attributes of a great leader?
What do I think are the attributes of a great leader? In this context, the first thing that comes to mind is the ability to listen and the ability to gather a lot of pieces of information and put them together in novel ways, nimbly and quickly, to assess the possibilities of different outcomes very quickly. You know, for us, I think about the management of my team, and they're away from their families for long periods of time. They're put here in an isolated circumstance with very little privacy, constantly in the public engagement, and we become a family. And as a leader, it's a very subtle and diplomatic place to be, because as we're all, I'm kind of stumbling over my words here, as we're all adults, we're also all confronted with the fact that we need each other in ways that are beyond the professional, and so to be able to facilitate some space for that to occur is difficult, but super important. You know, for us to have a relationship outside of our professional relationship, which is already so intense and so personal, I think that's one of the most important things for us in our team. And then, you know, for this ship and the ship's crew, captain, galley, stewards, for me, dignity and ultimate respect for all the workers on board is the most important thing. And one of the ways that I manifest that as a leader is getting involved in as many aspects of this as I can, not to lead it or manage it, but just to assist it. And sometimes that just means going down to the galley and checking in with the guys and asking them how things are going and talking to them for a few minutes, but not trying to maintain this space between all these different departments on the ship, but to have a real human connection between all the departments, because we're what keep it all going together, you know. And I think maybe for someone like yourself or others who've been here to witness what can happen on a ship like this, you know, what we end up producing, ultimately can be really powerful, and you can tell that it's authentic immediately. You know, human beings can see that element of authenticity in people as they proceed, and I think that's the other thing I would mention as a leader. You know, listening, the ability to listen carefully, the ability to analyze information for creative outcomes, and then authenticity and passion.
Thank you.
Yeah.